What's the real deal with immigration, and why is it so surprising? In this video, we'll break down how immigration is shaping the economy, changing our culture, and stirring up political debates. We'll dig into current trends, explore the benefits and challenges, and look ahead at what the future might hold for immigration policies. Stick around because we're going beyond the headlines to give you a clear, no-nonsense view of what's really happening, leaving you with insights that might just change how you see this hot topic. First, let's take a closer look at the historical context of immigration. How did immigration shape the U.S. over the last century? Immigration has played a key role in building countries, especially in the last 100 years. In the U.S., different waves of immigration have changed the country's population and culture. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, millions of Europeans, like Italians, Germans, and Irish, came to America. They took jobs in factories, mines, and railroads, helping to grow the U.S. economy. After World War II, another wave of immigrants arrived, including war refugees and displaced persons from Europe. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 was another big moment. It got rid of ethnic quotas, allowing more people from Asia and Latin America to come. This made the U.S. more diverse and brought new cultural influences that affected politics, society, and the economy. These immigration waves have not only shaped national identity, but also kept the debate on immigration policies alive. Now let's dive into the current immigration trends. Ever wondered what's been happening with immigration lately? In recent years, immigration patterns have changed a lot, especially in the US and Europe. For example, in 2023, the US saw a big jump in immigration, with Customs and Border Protection or CBP encountering 2.54 million migrants at the southwest border. This nearly matched the record numbers from the year before. So why the surge? One reason is the reopening of borders after the pandemic. This rise in immigration has big economic effects. The Dallas Federal Reserve says that by 2033, this influx could add 5.2 million people to the workforce, boosting the GDP by about $8.9 trillion and increasing federal tax revenues by $1.2 trillion. Europe is also seeing more immigrants. In 2022, the European Union issued almost 3.5 million first residence permits to non-EU citizens, with Poland and Germany leading the way. This is a big jump from before the pandemic. But here's the thing. Tracking these immigration numbers accurately is tough. In the US, for instance, different estimates make it hard to get a clear picture of the true scale and impact of immigration. These challenges in measuring immigration accurately make it a complex issue to fully understand. Next, let's explore the economic impact of immigration. How does immigration shape the economy? When it comes to the labor market, immigration plays a vital role in driving economic growth. The recent surge in U.S. immigration is expected to have a big impact, adding about 5.2 million workers by 2033. This influx could boost the GDP by around $8.9 trillion over the next decade. Why is this important? Immigrants often fill essential roles in industries like healthcare and construction, where there are labor shortages. This helps keep the economy moving and supports overall growth. Now let's talk about tax revenue. With more working-age people due to immigration, tax revenues naturally increase. The Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, estimates that the current surge in immigration will add $1.2 trillion to federal tax revenues by 2034. This could also help reduce the federal deficit by nearly $900 billion. Interestingly, immigrants, especially second generation, tend to pay more in taxes over their lifetimes compared to those born in the U.S. This is mainly because they often achieve higher levels of education and income. But what about the challenges? Job competition is a common concern. Some worry that immigrants might take jobs from native-born workers or drive down wages. However, studies show that the impact on wages is usually small. Certain groups, like low-skilled workers and previous immigrants, might feel more pressure. But overall, the economic expansion driven by immigration can even slightly increase wages for native workers. Lastly, let's consider public services. High levels of immigration can put a strain on public services like education and healthcare, especially in areas with large immigrant populations. Local and state governments often face the biggest challenges in managing these costs. Even though immigrants contribute positively to federal revenues, the fiscal impact on local levels can be tough, requiring careful planning to ensure that public services can handle growing populations. Moving on to the social and cultural impact of immigration. Do you know how the influx of new cultures, languages, and ideas shake things up and change the face of a nation? Cultural diversity is one of the most noticeable impacts of immigration. It brings in a rich mix of traditions, languages, and perspectives that can greatly enrich the host country. This diversity doesn't just add to the cultural fabric, it also fuels creativity, innovation, and economic growth. For example, a World Economic Forum study shows that having a variety of skills and ideas in the economy, thanks to diversity, can drive innovation and development. But what do people think about immigration? Public opinion is split, especially along political lines. According to Pew Research Center, most Democratic voters see immigration as a positive force, while many Republican voters worry about its effects on national identity and security. These differing views are clear when it comes to policies like deportation and language use, with Republicans generally favoring stricter immigration controls. However, there are challenges too. Integration is a big one. Immigrants often face language barriers and cultural differences that can make it hard for them to fully participate in the community. This can lead to social fragmentation and difficulties in accessing services or finding jobs. To help immigrants integrate successfully, it's important to focus on education, language training, and community engagement efforts. Now, how has immigration become such a political battlefield? Let's explore the political impact and policy responses to immigration. In the US, immigration is a major point of contention, especially with the 2024 presidential election coming up. President Biden has tried to create more legal pathways for migrants and refugees and streamline asylum processes. But here's the catch. His approach has sparked criticism, especially over how the border crisis is being handled. To address this, Biden has had to toughen some policies, increasing enforcement and expanding the use of humanitarian parole. On the flip side, former President Trump took a hardline stance, focusing on strict border controls, mass deportations, and slashing refugee admissions, policies he's vowed to ramp up if he returns to office. Looking at Europe, immigration is just as divisive. Countries like Germany and France are struggling with the challenges of integrating large numbers of migrants. The European Union has implemented policies like border controls and agreements with non-EU countries to manage the flow of migrants. Still, immigration remains a deeply polarizing issue across the continent. So what's the debate? In both the US and Europe, immigration sparks intense discussions. In the US, the focus is on the legality and pathways for immigrants and how far deportation efforts should go, with strong opinions split along party lines. Wrapping up, what do you think might the future hold? And how can we make immigration work better for everyone? Looking ahead, immigration trends will likely be influenced by global events like economic challenges, climate change, and political instability. As countries like the US and others in the developed world face aging populations and labor shortages, the demand for immigration is expected to grow. This means that future policies might focus on expanding legal migration pathways to fill labor gaps and support economic growth. So what can be done? To tackle the challenges and maximize the benefits of immigration, we need comprehensive reforms. Expanding legal pathways, like increasing work visas and improving asylum processes, can help reduce unauthorized immigration while boosting the economy. It's also crucial to enhance integration efforts by providing resources for language learning, job training, and community support. By doing so, we can balance the economic benefits of immigration with social harmony, ensuring that both immigrants and their host communities thrive. As we've seen, immigration is changing countries in unexpected ways. But what happens when a place doesn't have anyone living there at all? In our next video, we'll take you to some of the most intriguing places on Earth, countries that are completely deserted in 2024. Can you guess which places on Earth have zero inhabitants and why? You won't believe some of the reasons these countries have no people living in them. Don't miss it.